So, welcome along to another edition of Isolation Interviews for Hospital Radio and my YouTube channel. And I'm very excited that my guest is the very lovely Anne Hegerty. Thank you, Anne, for joining me.
Thank you for asking me.
Now, we were just saying before we came on, started recording, that it was about a year ago that we met up. We did an interview in Watford for my Take 5 series. And boy, how the world has changed since then.
Hasn't it just?
So, I mean, obviously for you, I mean, how have you coped with the new situation we find ourselves in?
I must admit, I've absolutely loved lockdown. I mean, the back end of last year was so utterly manic, and I was incredibly stressed. I had about 3 colds in 5 months, and I get colds when I'm run down. And then, we were planning to be working really hard up until June. And then all of this suddenly happened. And thing is, I've been saying for years, I'm longing for a sabbatical. And suddenly I have my sabbatical. It's fantastic. I've just got so many things sorted out and done. I'm actually sort of, getting on with a bit of cleaning and so on. I've just sort of got things. I had huge amounts of paperwork spread out everywhere. And I've managed to get those under control and sent to the people who need them. And everything is, I mean, by my standards, everything is relatively tidy. I've got, there's a big IKEA box unit in the corner of the room. This is actually a rented house. And this was here when I got here. And I've been filling it with all the things that fit in that particular kind of IKEA thing. And everything is just in there, and it's wonderful, and I feel like Marie Kondo. So it has been incredibly useful. I'm getting so much stuff sorted out.
I mean, like you say, it's been that time that people have been able to sort of reset and kind of push the reset button and either give themselves a break or get things done that otherwise just would have sat there and just built up and built up.
It's noteworthy that so many people said that they were sleeping very long hours at the beginning of lockdown. And I feel like, probably most of us have been sleep deprived for years, and maybe we should look at that and, try not to do so much in the evenings and get a proper night's sleep. I rather wonder whether people will come out of this feeling, I've been trying to do too much and perhaps I don't need it.
I mean, do you think going forward you'll take anything from the time in lockdown? Do you think you'll take it forward to future life with you?
Well, I'd love to. Really, it's just been, the thing is, my time is kind of not my own, except that since March it largely has been, which is lovely. When everything starts back up again, when the lockdown lifts completely, I won't be able to do anything about the fact that people want more of my time than I feel comfortable giving them. I will continue to try and say no, and then I will get talked into things. But I have got a lot of stuff behind me that had taken years to sort out and have been stressing me for a very long time. So I'm hoping I can sort of keep all of that stuff under control better.
Now, obviously, the chase is a big part of your life. How was the show affected were you filming at the point of lockdown or on a break?
We were. I was originally supposed to be in Australia at that time, and then that batch of filming got cancelled. So I actually haven't filmed the chase since February. So I was here expecting to be back in sort of later in March. And then I was hearing everyone saying, the producers are having an urgent meeting and they're discussing things. And people are saying that we film at Elstree Studios, which is a BBC facility. It's actually owned by the local council. So it was out of everyone's hands whether Elstree was actually going to close completely. And then eventually, I think it was about a week before lockdown came in, they decided they were suspending recordings until further notice. We hoped we would be back in June, and then that didn't happen. We hope we will be back in a few weeks, but who knows?
I mean, do you know what it will look like when you go back? Because I imagine, obviously, for you being the chaser up on the podium, you're quite safe up there, I imagine.
Yes,
but for Bradley and the contestants, it must be a different story.
It is. I mean, I don't know how much detail I'm allowed to go into, but they are taking it very seriously. I keep getting these long emails about all the precautions that they're taking, and they're going to test your temperature as soon as you come in, people wearing masks, the desk being redesigned and so on. So, I mean, no, obviously they're taking it very seriously. I mean, ITV are not going to be cavalier with people's health. Chasers get sent home even if we just have a cold because it affects our voice. We will not be allowed to do anything if there's anything wrong at all. I've actually been tremendously healthy. I had a mild cold in mid-February, and since then I've been absolutely fine. But yeah, they are taking it very seriously. People are going to be sort of going around in visors and so on.
I mean, have you got nerves about going back, or are you anxious to get back now?
Oh, I'm not nervous about getting coronavirus. I mean, I said right from the start, I'm sorry to be annoying, but I do actually have a big, strong immune system, and I back myself not to get this. And everyone said to me, yes, you are being annoying, and we hope you get it. Really, I haven't been getting it. I have a mask. I have several masks. One of my masks says, only wearing this so I don't get fined. And I quite like wearing that one. No, I mean, I am wearing it because, we're supposed to wear masks and it reassures other people. But I feel like, guys, I haven't got it. I've never had it. I very much doubt I'm going to get it. So I'm honestly not concerned about my health. I mean, I'm not the unhealthiest chaser. And we do think that Paul Sinner, the Sinnerman, had it in March, April, and was really quite unwell. I'm not concerned about getting it, but, obviously we want everyone to feel safe and comfortable.
Now, one of my guests earlier on in lockdown was Sean Wallace, who is, of course, one of your fellow chasers. I mean, and obviously we were talking about various things. For him, he found that a lot of people were asking him to take part in virtual quizzes and all that. Yeah. Did you get that as well?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been playing in the Quiz League of London's Summer Friendly League, which is done by Zoom every Tuesday night. So I've been doing that. I've actually been turning down a lot of the invitations to do Zoom quizzes because if one doesn't have to, then Zoom is kind of wearying and you have to keep staring at your own face all the time. I mean, notice the way I'm not looking at my own face right now because I don't have to, and why would I? So that's a little bit tiring, but I have done a few Zoom quizzes, and the big monthly quizzes that we do for ranking points on the quiz circuit. What we've been doing is signing in on Zoom and then placing your iPad or your phone or whatever in such a way that it's sideways on and people can see you, that you're sitting at a desk, and they can see your hands, and then you get sent the questions, you download them and you print them, and then you spend an hour and a half sitting there writing the answers while people are sort of occasionally glancing at you to make sure you're not cheating. So it's as much like doing it in an actual supervised room as possible. So I've been doing that.
And I imagine as well, when you are doing, so many different ones, and like you say, you have to turn them down sometimes because otherwise it will take over your life, I imagine, if you're constantly doing it, one after the other after the other.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I mean, quizzing's kind of what I do. I want to sort of maintain my quizzing abilities. They launched a Facebook page. I'm not going to give you the name because the last time I went on the radio and said the name, they got absolutely swamped by people wanting to join. But I've been going on that page and looking for interesting quizzes to do. And that's a sort of online written thing. You fill in answers in the boxes. And that's enjoyable. It's just all ways of sort of keeping your skills up. I mean, I've always, when I've got time, I'm always going on quiz websites anyway. It just means I've got more time.
And I mean, we must talk about the project which came out during lockdown, which was Beat the Chaser, which was a brand new show.
Indeed.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it's a lot more fast paced than the normal show, which is great.
It is.
But then you also get the contestants that fall after the first question, which you do feel sorry for them a bit. So what did you think of the programme?
I loved it. I mean, it had been in development for literally about 3 years. And I mean, we all thought it was dead and then it came back. And to our amazement, they'd actually managed to tweak it in such a way that worked really well. And we filmed at the end of January, beginning of February. So, fortunately, nobody was even thinking about lockdown at that time. And then I think they might have been planning to keep it till the autumn, but they decided, obviously, an awful lot with so many productions shut down. I mean, obviously there's a bit of a shortage of new material. So they thought they'd put that one out. And I actually suspected this is going to be a hit because when we were making it, we were saying to each other, you know, this is actually working really well. And the audience are loving it. We're getting these really tight finishes. I thought, you know, when it went out, people would like it, and they did.
And it must have
So
been quite.
we're hoping we'll be going to be able to make more. I mean, they've not sort of officially commissioned anything yet, but we hope so.
The other good thing for you guys as well is that obviously on the normal show, you don't get to interact really with the other chasers. So it must be nice to actually work as a team.
It is. I mean, you know, we're all great friends because the chase kind of wouldn't really work if we weren't all friends. You know, we all have an idea of what each of us is good at. So, you know that Mark is going to be very fast. You know that Paul is going to be very fast. Paul is absolutely in the form of his life at the moment. I mean, nobody can catch Paul right now. You know that I'm going to be slow, but if it's a question about sort of obscure literature or some aspect of royal history or something, everyone knows sort of leave it for a second and only have a go if it's clear Anne doesn't know, because this is Anne's subject. So we already knew what our strengths were, and I think we worked well together.
And I think, like you say, everyone knows everyone's strengths. There were a few occasions when I think someone maybe would jump in a bit too quick and get it wrong, and then the other chasers would be a little bit like, oh, you know, you could have waited a bit. So is there that
occasionally? It's the sort of, I mean, that sort of thing will happen. You know, we've all done enough buzzer quizzes to know that sometimes you jump in and you shouldn't. And then you've lost that question, it goes to the other side, and you're sitting there with your head in your hands going, sorry, guys, sorry. So, you know, we've all had that experience. And the great thing is, I mean, chasers, you know, we are beatable. Even all of us together, we are beatable.
And I mean, you get some great contestants that go on the show, and I mean, I know some of them. I think obviously you've kind of not had, you know, aware of them, but you kind of know through quizzing circles, so you kind of you get an idea.
On the main show, on the daytime show, they're very concerned that we can't play people that we know, and the reason is that there absolutely cannot be any suggestion of collusion. For example, they're really very keen to, for example, people are always saying to me, you know, can't you do something about the questions, or can't you do something about the contestants? I'm like, guys, we have nothing to do with the questions or the contestants. We can't, you know, we can't meet them. And if I'm at a big quiz and there's a team event, and they put you into teams, if I'm in a team with someone who I know is a chase question setter, I have to go up and say, guys, I cannot be on a team with this person. I'm sorry to seem like a diva, but honestly, it is in my contract. I can't be on a team with this person. So they're really very concerned about the whole sort of Chinese firewalls thing.
And I mean, like I say, it is a great show, and we do hope to see it back again because it's different to the normal show, and I think it worked well that they did it over the course of a week as opposed to like one a week and all that. Yeah, it was very fast paced, and I think it worked well that way.
I think it did. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
Now, obviously, at the moment, with everything that's going on as well, you're unable to travel to Australia to do the chase over there.
Yeah.
The other thing that's obviously been affected is I'm a Celebrity, which this year will be taking place in this country.
In Wales, indeed, yes.
Exactly.
So I understand.
So, I mean, oh yeah, go on.
I've got no sort of inside information. I know what I've been reading in the papers.
But I mean, do you think had it been in the UK the year you took part, would you have still done it? Do you think it would have changed your opinion of the show?
Oh well, yeah, I'd absolutely have still done it. I mean, I'm okay with the cold, to be perfectly honest. One thing I don't know if anyone noticed in the jungle, but I was the one person who always used to go and have a wash in the pool. I didn't use the shower. I just used to go and get in that unheated jungle pool and just stay in there for about 30 minutes and just sort of wash every bit of me, because I was the only person that could actually stand staying in the pool. Everybody else jumped out after about 10 minutes.
I mean,
the cold would be, I'd have had no problem with the cold.
Do you think it will make the show this year different? Do you think it will be a different show, or do you think it will still have elements that will, you know, kind of make it?
It will depend on the kind of critters that they can get. I mean, you know, I think that their critters were sort of locally sourced. On the other hand, thinking about it, they're not that far from Chester Zoo. So they may be able to find something, you know, large and scuttly that will make people like me scream their heads off. That's possible. You know, they may be able to find sort of large carpet pythons and things. It'll just sort of feel generally more, I suppose, familiar. Um, but that's, it'll rain more. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I mean, I don't know how far it sort of really affected me thinking, this is Australia, we're on the other side of the planet from where I'm from, because, I have obviously filmed in Australia before. But one was sort of, feeling like if one wanted to make a run for it, how would one do that and where would one go? Whereas perhaps, if you're in Wales, it might be a little easier to figure that out.
And of course, with the chase in Australia, do you have any idea when you'll be back on yet, or whether you'll be doing it via video link or anything like
I
that?
don't think we can do it by video link. Whenever I've done any sort of video link thing, there's always been about a second's delay while the image bounces off the satellite and back again. And if it's a second delay every time, that would really affect things like the final chase. So I don't think that would work. We do hope. It looks very unlikely it's going to be this year. Last year I went out 3 times. The year before I went out 3 times. This year haven't been out at all. So, we hope next year, we hope early next year. It's a question of when the government decides to issue visas. I mean, at the moment, the Australian government is really very, very keen to keep everything contained. So they haven't been letting anyone in who's not Australian for months and months now. And they're also sometimes closing internal borders. And that can be a problem because we normally film in Melbourne. One of the chasers, that's Victoria, one of the chasers lives in Queensland. Our host lives in Sydney. If they are closing state borders, or if they're leaving them open but you have to quarantine, then that can really mess up the filming schedule as well. So who knows? I mean, Mark and I are keen to get out there, and we've made sure they've got all our passport details, and that's really all we can do.
And especially with Melbourne now being in such a very strict lockdown over there. So, I mean,
Yeah,
life
it
is
seems
completely changed.
well, it seems that what happened was that they were trying very hard to keep it all under control. So as soon as you got off the plane, they'd check your temperature, and then they'd put you on a bus, and they would take you to a hotel and put you up in the hotel, and there was security guards on every floor to make sure you didn't make a run for it. And it seems as if what may have been happening is that some of the female guests got a bit flirty with the security guards, and as a result, they had a little bit more of a pandemic. Australians, what can you do? They like their security guards.
Now, I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. But before we go, is there any messages you'd like to give to anyone who's stuck in hospital at the moment, who's not having the greatest of times?
Yeah, I am sorry to hear you're stuck in hospital. We're kind of all stuck at the moment. I hope you haven't got COVID-19. If you have, I'm sure they're giving you the very best care. And we will all get through this. It's basically all I have to say.
Thank you, Anne. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, talking to you. Of course, keep safe, and thank you again for your time.
Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.